Chef Tom with Cardinal Cafe over there at Manual Career Technical Center. Today, we are going to do some more knife skills, okay? I'm never going to be able to show you enough knife skills in my opinion. So what's the first thing we do when we're getting ready to use our knives? That's right, we sharpen them, okay? And when we sharpen them, like we've always said in the past, the same number down on either side. We're also going to sharpen a paring knife. And our serrated, that's right, this is the one we send out to have sharpened. Okay? Only because this serrated edge on this magnetized steel just doesn't work well, okay? You always have a chance of chipping one of the teeth of the knife or chipping your steel itself. You're better off to send them out and have them done properly. All right, today we're gonna make a delicious chicken salad. I'm sure everybody at some point or another has had chicken and had some left over. Now this is not the chicken salad that my family made when I was growing up. This is something we came up with right here at the Cardinal Cafe, and this is called Cardinal Cafe Chicken Salad. I'm giving away the secrets today. All right, so because this is a ready-to-eat food product, what do I need? Right, I need gloves, okay? So here we go. The main ingredient in our chicken salad, of course, is chicken. And we're going to put our bowl right over here on this corner that all of our ingredients are going to go in, okay? So, we're going to pan in and we're going to do some heavy chopping right now. This chicken was cooked to 165 degrees and then cooled down to 41, okay? When you cook your chicken, if you're going to use it for salad or something like this, it has to be cooled down to 41 degrees or cooler. And typically we shoot for a 4-hour time period on that. And I know I'm cutting this kind of fast. I'll try and slow down a little on this next round. Okay, we're going to take it. We're just going to take our time. Nice sized chunks. They don't have to be too small, too big. I really like seasoning my chicken when I cook it. I will dredge it in a little oil and hit it with salt, pepper, garlic, because that way my flavors are already in my chicken salad, okay? Just like that, our chicken is cut. And the thing is, we're just going to keep right on going. We're not going to slow down here. We're going to go to our celery. Now celery, here's a really interesting thing. Celery needs to be super, super clean, okay? I don't know if you can see that, but that celery is dirty and dry on the end. So we need to take that end off and just get rid of it, okay? When we're chopping celery, we're going to take it 2-3 times like this. And then we're just going to chop her up like this. Always remembering to utilize that claw position on your hand. Because when you're chopping vegetables fine like this, you can very, very easily cut yourself. Okay, and again, claw position. Okay, very nice. I don't know about you, but I cannot have chicken salad without having some onion in it. And I love really fresh green onion. And you don't have to do a lot with this green onion, you just have to cut it. Put our scraps over to the side, bunch it up, get it in there. I really, really love my chicken salad. It's super fresh. Take some parsley. Just a quick chop on the parsley. It doesn't have to be super small. Turn it a little, give it another once over. Get it in there. Now, I like cranberries in mine, and we'll just give these a little rough chop, okay? These don't have to be chopped up very fine at all. Just gonna give them a little rough chop. Bunch them up right in. And my last ingredient that I really love in my chicken salad is some pecans. Some people call them pecans, some people call them pecans. You can call them what you want. I like to call them pecans. If you call them pecans, I'm gonna know what you mean. Just a couple nice little chops of this, okay? This adds a lot more flavor than you can even imagine. Last couple little pieces in here. Now, the last thing we're going to put in is our mayonnaise. Oh, I need to stop and grab a spatula. All right, as you can see, we've got these beautiful chopped ingredients in our bowl. So we have to add a binder, and that's going to be our mayonnaise. Okay? We're going to put this mayonnaise in here, and we're just going to mix it up. You know, we just take our time. One thing is you have to do an excellent job mixing it up, because you don't want for somebody to have a plate of chicken salad and run into a gob of mayonnaise. Whoop, want it to stay in the bowl though. That's for certain. Now you can see that this is holding together very nicely. So, we're going to show you just a couple different ways to serve this. All right, we're going to set that off to the side. We're going to get rid of that container. And we are going to, of course, get rid of this plate. So, a couple different ways to serve this chicken salad. Number one, we can do a small plated salad out of it with some crackers and tomato. But the thing is, we always need garnish. Ariana, would you mind grabbing? Oh, I see the plates right here. Sorry about that. All right. So we've got two delicious ways to serve this salad. We've got a nice fresh croissant here. We're just going to open this guy up. And this is already fork split, so we just need to kind of tear it apart. There we go. Okay, set our plate over. Let's start out with some nice leaf lettuce down here. Put down a nice little base, okay? Tear out that middle stem. Now, we've talked about serrated knives over and over. This is my favorite thing to use a serrated knife on right here. A really big, beautiful tomato, okay? This serrated knife will give us beautiful slices of tomato. Okay, we need a couple slices for this sandwich. Then we're going to take our scoop, and we're just going to take, look at this. Is one scoop enough? Not really. Not of this chicken salad. This chicken salad is so delicious it isn't funny. We're going to take our top. Just going to give it a little squeeze, and then we're going to cut it. You got to hold it tight to cut it. And then look at this. Doesn't that look beautiful? That is just one way that we can serve this delicious chicken salad. The second way, sorry, I need one more clean plate. I'm going through them kind of fast here. Is on a summer salad, what we're going to do, we're going to take our tomato, cut her in half this way, and then We're gonna make some little slices like this. Okay? We're gonna take those guys and we're gonna lay them out like this. And then we're gonna get some of these here crackers. This is just like a Ritz cracker or whatever. It's not anything too fancy. But I bet our Celery knife will come in handy here again, you know. We're just gonna shake up some crackers. Just do like 3 crackers in each one of these areas. Get a couple more. Then we're gonna get a scoop of our delicious chicken salad here. And just really push it down, compact it. We're gonna put that right in the middle of this. And that's just a nice little summertime salad that you can have with your tomato and your chicken salad and your croissant sandwich. Look, this is not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of imagination. You know, on this one, if you wanted, you could put some cucumbers, you could put some radishes. Really, you can do anything you want. The sky is the limit when it comes to your imagination. You know, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll do this at home. And again, if there's ever anything you want to see that we're not doing, please shoot us an email at tvelisle@kcpublicschools.com. Hey, until next time, enjoy your food.
And good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another fun episode of KCPS Homeroom. And we branched out last year when we started this series and started interviewing students. Now this show will likely be featured on Fridays, and a sense of kind of the real world learning aspect that goes with being a student in Kansas City Public Schools. I'm joined today by one of my prior students in the classroom, as I was the teacher at Paseo Academy for 16 years. This gives me quite a chance to look back and get a hold of some people, or some have reached out to me to have this conversation about what's been going on, obviously, since then, and how that message might provide an example, or at least a glimpse of some of the other options or possibilities that exist when you're a young person. Because at some point, I feel like when you're going through the high school system, you might really not see a whole lot of different options while you're there. And when you get out of there, I think you find so many more right in front of your face. So we're joined today, and I want to be sure I get your name right, by Maribel Wheeler. And I used to know you by a different name. Did I say your first name even close to correctly?
A lot closer than in high school. Yes, it's Maribel.
Maribel.
But I also go by Mari. Mm-hmm.
Mari, very good, thank you, and that is important. And I said it as quickly as I could so I could, but no, it's a beautiful name, so it should certainly be said in its most beautiful form. So Maribel, please catch us up. What's been going on with you since high school? An audience out there, I will say, as part of being MC or host of these moments, I would ask you to be extra respectful and maybe turn your ears on even better than you usually do, because she has a very honest and powerful story to share. So, Mari, will you catch us up? What's been going on with you since high school?
Yeah, so after high school, well, during high school, it was pretty much of a blur. I made choices and hung around not positive influences. And because of those choices, I was put in a situation at 17 where I was at a party hanging out and we were intoxicated. And then I had some other situations happen and I ended up driving myself back home, but I didn't make it home. And so I was in a car accident. I was convicted with 3 counts of aggravated battery because it's considered using a weapon. through a vehicle. So at that time, I was just 17. So through the courts and proceedings, by the time I was 18, I was incarcerated until about 22, almost 23. So yeah, that's that part.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. So that's I did not know that. I knew you'd mentioned something to that degree, but for that long.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that experience like? Kind of, I can only.
It was so, keep in mind, I was a victim of sexual abuse. So I didn't have coping skills. I didn't know how, I just wanted attention. And I think that's why I hung around these not so good influences. So when it was scary, you know, I could still see myself leaving the courthouse and in handcuffs and shackled and going into the jail cell, and you know they just strip you of everything. I don't know if that makes any sense, but so it was just going through that process was very traumatic also, but I think that's where a lot of I was able to reflect on a lot of things, and kind of how I got into, you know, journaling again, or writing, or meditation, you know, and just really starting to heal myself. Yeah, and just, it was still a humbling experience because you have lifers there, you know, and when I got out of prison, I was 22, and you know, here I am ready to go into the world, and I'm still, you know, I haven't had that the introduction to how the world works, right? So when I, you know, get out and I have money saved, because they pay you like $5 a month, and you know, and so I have money saved, but just, it was overwhelming getting an apartment, being denied because of that background. So I finally was able to get my own place and just, yeah, start working. At that time I was working at Chipotle because nobody else would hire me, right? I'm a convicted felon with 3 aggravated battery charges. Who wants to hire you, you know? So then I made the choice to go back to school and get my bachelor's in psychology, because that's something I was always passionate about. And in the meantime, I'm working at Chipotle, crazy hours, just being overworked, and at the same time going to school. And finally, I graduated with my bachelor's in 2016. So yeah, so since then, yeah. And I worked social work after that, you know. One thing I've learned is you have to be humble. You know, I worked, like I said, it was hard to get a job. So I worked at Chipotle, I worked at Dunkin' Donuts. Nobody wants that job when you're trying to start your career path, right? You just want to feel like a sense of purpose.
Sure.
So then when I was able to get a job at a domestic violence shelter in Kansas City, I worked there as a case manager for 4 years. And then we moved to Iowa with my husband because he got a promotion. Yeah.
That's so amazing.
And yeah, I could keep going.
No, I'm loving this story. It's fantastic.
Okay.
So, but I feel like that moment right there, you were really able to turn something you had been doing and experiencing into a path, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of really exciting. And if you're listening, students, and hear that's kind of what would you say that you're kind of looking for as a person who grows up and gets older, and so are you still on that path? I think your path is a little different just now.
Yeah.
That you know what I've seen on pictures and things that you've shared on social media. how did your path go from, you said you got a promotion and you moved, but
Yes.
all of a sudden sage farming, or like how,
No.
how do we go where you were? Is it intentionally part of the meditation? Did it just happen that way? Or that's amazing. So you guys don't know, but she's going to send us a little picturesque taste of what it's like to work and live on a sage farm, which has how many acres? 160?
Yes, 106.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
A lot, yeah.
we don't live on any acres, most of us here in
Right.
the city, right? Like, it doesn't count up to a lot of ground or yard to play with. But so tell us about that, and we'll hear you set it up, and then we'll go away and watch a little of your video.
Okay. Sounds good. So yes, when we moved to Des Moines, Iowa, I was able to get a great job working as pretty much in the mental health field and for children's, and families in Des Moines, Iowa. So I was doing that, and my job title, I worked with youth that were going through the court system, or they had charges and were on probation. So I was their case manager. Again, it all ties into the circle of, my life story.
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to work with those kids, youth, and kind of share what, my story, and it would help them to kind of focus and realize that they still have another chance.
Yeah.
But my husband's aunt, she invited us to visit her land here in New Mexico, and so we did. And we just fell in love. And the one question that I just remember was being asked, how can you get here? The goal was 5 years, and I knew we could get here faster. I knew my husband could retire from corporate world. I could retire from social work. But I just had to really, meditate on it, and just all of a sudden I bundled some sage and posted it on social media, and they sold. So that's kind of where the seed was planted. But then I learned that I also have a group for, everybody to join. But what I also learned was there's this theme of suffering, people going through life experiences, failures, and wanting to heal. And I knew that through sage burning, because in my culture, my mom would use it. And there's such a history behind it. But just providing that tool for people to use, and then adding more, I felt more purposeful. I saw more success. I finally found what I was supposed to be doing, So I always told my husband, we're going to get there before 5 years. We're going to get there before, by the end of 2020, we're going to be there. And my husband, corporate, he's like, how are you going to do that? There's no possible way. We have debts, so we have this and that. And, pretty much when the pandemic hit and we had to work from home, it was hard for me I felt stuck with my clients, and they started to react and make choices, and it was a moment where I just realized I want to help people. And I think through social work, I wanted to, just keep doing that. But I realized that I felt like a hamster on a wheel, just going, and can't get to the result, right? So, yeah, when the pandemic hit, that's pretty much where my husband and I had the conversation of, it's time. It's time for us to sell our home, and continue with our business and build our own home in New Mexico on the ranch.
Wow, that's really amazing. Thanks for winding that and to see how excited and you know your smile from ear to ear. That's so nice.
That sounds good.
No, like the start is not the end, right? And I know that what you've done, and you're not even at the end. Like that's so cool to be who you are. Like that's another start, and you have so many years ahead, you know. So I love that philosophy of not waiting until to have that experience that you had a taste for there and fell in love with. Like to not wait to have that. That's wonderful and inspiring as heck. So I know if we asked you this last question, because again, you're like a spiritual leader, I would even go as far as to say, right? you have that goal, and you certainly come to that fruition, in my opinion. You would do that for someone, I can tell. And so if we were to ask you this final question about what you would tell young people today who might be watching, who need something to get them from where they are to where they could be, what do you think it would take to give them that little boost?
I think the first thing is your failures they don't have to control your life. They could just be experiences. And live life with a purpose, whatever that is. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to run a business, you know, find purpose in the work that you do, and forgiveness for yourself, for others that have harmed you, and yeah, just forgiveness goes a long ways. Because again, when you think of, you know, trauma, and, you know, if you look at my story and you have all the factors of, you know, sexual abuse, you know, going through that, and then the incarceration, and if you want to label how that took place, and then you continue to have these things happen for you, and not necessarily happening to you. My mom would always tell me, lo que es para ti no se te pasará, that which is for you shall not pass you. And she always told me that, and I never understood that. And I remember being incarcerated. I'm like, what do you mean, Mom? I'm here, you know, incarcerated. You're not doing the time. And of course, but now it makes sense. Like, I don't believe I would be at this humbling, growing point if I wouldn't have gone through those experiences, which I don't call failures anymore.
That's fantastic. I appreciate it so much that in an interview segment to come through so much and to hear so much valuable insight from you, and then for you to be able to put it together kind of like an educator with the bookends of, you know, referring back to yourself. So thank you so much, Maribel, for a wonderful chance to update what's been going on. And believe me, when I hear that, I feel, I think it's proud. I think that's the word. I've been trying to figure out what a teacher feels, really, what that word would be many, many, many years later, because we just barely were there, you know, and so many years since, so many other shaping experiences, but it feels proud to know someone who has this story. So thank you so much for sharing it, and I think your commitment in your work to helping others, I'm with you. You know, I've been grounded in that work since I was 22, and I'm now 40. And
no way! I was wondering how old you were. I'm like, he was a teacher. Okay. Wow.
When I started, I was 22, and my students were like 18 and 19 years old. So it's been amazing. And that was the year I started, was the year of September 11th. So
yes, I remember being in your class in September 11th.
Okay.
And it's crazy as I still can see it. And one thing I want to say is your creative writing class really planted a seed with personal development and, you know, finding my emotions and my voice. So yeah.
That's so nice to hear. And yeah, what we forget about, I think, in some of the other classes, that if it's not in creative writing, then where is it, right? So
Yeah.
it's got to be in there that you nurture yourself and your soul. So Are you still writing?
I am still writing. I'm not so depressed. I mean, and deep, like in high school.
Different writing. Yeah.
I know.
You're surrounded by things to write about. I would tell you that, like,
Yeah.
to capture some of what you see in the sage, put that into some words. You know, what I start that first line. What I see in the sage. I'd want to read it. So, hey, it's been.
I like that.
It's been awesome catching up with you. Kansas City, you've had a wonderful chance to learn a little bit today about one person's experience. And thanks for being here with us. We'll have more episodes like this one in the future. And if you know people you would like to recommend to come on this show, really means they just went to school somewhere in Kansas City. We're open to more than Kansas City public, but the majority of the people that have been reaching out have been from Kansas City public schools. But if you know other folks out there listening, send them my way. My name's Chris Odom, and it's just CODAM at kcpublicschools.org. I look forward to hearing from you. It's been an awesome time this morning. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another fun episode of this show that I haven't named yet, where we talk to students that I might have known from the past about what's been going on in their life, since we may have parted ways at the high school graduation. I've talked to a number of people throughout the Kansas City area, primarily coming from Paseo Academy of the Fine and Performing Arts, mainly because I spent 16 years as a teacher there. And when you look at how long a time that is, you see a lot of different paths during that period. I've spoken to somebody as far back as 2003, I think. So I'm joined today by one of those Paseo graduates. She was a theater major, I believe. And
dance major.
Oh,
dance
my
major.
God. But she participated across the board. How easily I could confuse the two. And really, you did involve yourself in lots of arts, right? I think that's kind of the goal of getting the full experience at Paseo. So I'm joined by Hope Penner. When did you graduate from Paseo, Hope?
That was 2018. Or no, sorry, 2008. 2008.
Hey, man, okay, then something happened crazy. A time warp. We lost 10 years in there. So 2008.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little catching up us to do. Will you tell us, kind of unwind your path after high school? Where'd you go? What'd you do? What'd you decide to do? How did you know?
So I after college or after high school, while my senior year, we were looking at colleges. We had looked at schools in California. We had looked at schools in Oklahoma, and we settled on a school in Chicago called Columbia College. And my parents and I felt it was going to be the best place because it was in a major city. Felt like there was going to be more connections there. It was also in our price range, which some of the other ones weren't, especially because it was a private liberal arts college. And so I moved to Chicago. I got my bachelor's degree in dance with a concentration in choreography and dance pedagogy, so dance teaching. And while I was there, it was, my first year was really tough. It was really hard leaving Kansas City. I hadn't really traveled that much, and I certainly hadn't lived anywhere. I grew up in the same house for 18 years, and then I moved there. But it was really exciting to me. I started to miss home, and then I had talked to my parents about maybe trying a different college, and my dad was like, no, you're sticking this out. You're doing it. This is the right place to be. And so I ended up finishing my degree at Columbia, and it was great. Now I consider Chicago like my home, like my hometown. And I spent 10 years there. And during college, I was obviously performing a lot.
Chicago's a homey feel to you, because to
yes.
me, when I go there, it is gigantic compared to the city, and I don't feel home at all. Like, wow. So What part of Chicago do you call homey? Like and really downtown, I suppose.
So I actually, for the first 2 years, I lived in the dorms, which were right in the South Loop, which is basically downtown Chicago. It's right by Millennium Park and the Bean that's there. And that was a really fun experience for me, and I loved that. But anyone that's lived in Chicago knows that living there is super expensive. So we had to move up north. So I lived in probably like 10 different places while I was in Chicago. But up north is probably like closer to Wrigleyville. We've also lived like in Rogers Park. And there's more, it's more like three flats, like those sort of things. And I think the reason that I feel like it's so, it feels so much like home is because I had most of like my, like revelation moments there. Like I feel like high school is a great time to like make friends, kind of figure out who you are, but it really doesn't happen until your late teens and 20s even. Yeah. I'm 31 and I'm still kind of figuring it out a little bit. So,
sure.
But
that's the whole deal, right? You might as well keep figuring it out as you get older instead of have already decided you did a long time ago. And I think, that's a testament to a lot of things, but that's true of most of the people I've been interviewing and talking to is they accelerated almost after getting not school out of the way, but kind of getting school out of the way and then doing their everyday life, but primarily, whatever that is. I do school for a living, so I'm in a confused state like that sometimes too. So, but I always say it's fantastic to get paid to continue to learn and grow. So whatever job that is, if that's what is going on, then you scored. That if you're getting paid to learn and grow, I mean, a mechanic, an art form, a trade, anything like that, like in 10 years from now, you can even charge more for your same trade, right? So it is an investment in your time, and you do get expertise in lots of cool ways. So tell me, after Chicago or post that experience, are you still in Chicago?
I'm not in Chicago anymore. I moved in 2018.
That 10 years.
Yes. So I moved in 2018 to Los Angeles. And I felt like I needed to change. My boyfriend that I've been with for a million years is like, he's an actor as well. And we kind of needed to move. After college, I got a job as a teaching assistant at an international school in Chicago. And I worked with the 3-year-olds, which was so fun. And it was a great stepping stone. But of course, that whole year that I was a teaching assistant, I was like, I feel like I've wasted my degree. I feel like, what am I doing? Like, I know I enjoy teaching, but I also hadn't gotten my teacher certification. So it was either go back to school so I can do teaching in a school full time, or I needed to figure something else out. So, the Christmas of my first year there at that school, I was like, you know what, I'm going to manifest what I want. And I went on Amazon and I got a bunch of dance curriculum books, and I just was reading and reading and reading. I started, like, for fun, I started making like curriculum maps and all this stuff. And I was like, because that stuff is honestly, I love doing it. It sounds weird, but it's really fun to me, like planning and all that stuff. So I was doing all that, and I was like, you know what, I don't even have a job opportunity out there, but I was like, I'm going to do this because this is the right thing for me. It's giving me inspiration, and it's, and I'm putting that energy out into the world. And so I did that. And then, when it was time to renew our teaching assistant contract, I was like, I absolutely want to come back next year. I would be interested in using my degree, whether it's an after school club or whatever. And the principal emailed me back and said, I want you to write up a proposal for a dance program. And he's like, you need to come up with this, this, and this. And I had half of it built already because this is what I was doing. And so I proposed it to him. He observed me 3 times teaching with the kids that were there of various age ranges. And then I got the job. And so then from there, the following 6 years, I built up this dance program. And I taught the 2-year-olds all the way to 5th grade. And it was like, I look back at like first year me and I'm like, what on earth were you doing? It was so bad. And I look to my final year there and how much was built out. One of the great things about that position is that because dance was something that like seemed beyond like what the other teachers knew, they were like, oh, that's Hope's thing. Like she knows what she's doing. I basically got to do whatever I want. I got to create my own curriculum. The school started doing an annual musical, and I directed and choreographed those. And our arts programs there, I worked really closely with the music department, and our program was built up so much that Juilliard was interested in working with the company. So Juilliard came in, they partnered with us. We got to go out there like twice a year to go do like workshops at the Juilliard campus. And they created an online curriculum as well that we used. That was an additional resource for us, which was so cool. And I just gained some really amazing mentors from that.
Wow. That's neat. That's not a name just, throw around really. Just everybody doesn't exactly work with Juilliard.
Yeah.
This is really neat. And I would say I remember that I'm listening to I got to do this and I got to start with, and some people might not have seen it that way, but I also jumped into creative writing kind of with full permission to what is that, and I was in the same boat. I was researching it before I did it. I was super young, so I was really guessing a lot, but I got to know what it really was by the time I was 16 years into it.
Yeah.
And what's fun is I was right about a lot of the stuff when I was doing it early on. I just didn't know that, and so I couldn't, I couldn't just necessarily put in place and guarantee. Like when I remember working with you and Miss Connor, she was so in her way that wow, there is a way, and that her way is a cool way. And then I think that's what's neat. As we keep doing this, we develop our way, and then it's attractive to people to learn that. And
yeah,
so that's really neat. I can hear your way emerged, and worked, and still is. What are you doing right now, like as a result of that?
I pivoted a little bit. So we came out here. If being totally transparent, the first 6 months out here was horrible. It was so. I moved from Chicago thinking I was incredibly employable and and everything, and that there were going to be these amazing jobs that were available. But the first 6 months was really tough. I ended up working like 4 jobs at once. One was for a mobile dance studio. So I had to drive around with like all this gear in the back of my car, and I had to go from like different schools to teach. And then I also worked for an after-school program that basically just did clubs. I taught like an escape room class, a magic class. It was just random stuff. And I still have this job, actually. This is my second job that I have, but I choreographed for a theater company in a beach town out here called Hermosa Beach.
Nice
and
town.
that is really fun. And that's one of those that stuck with me. It kind of keeps my toe in the creative
Very cool.
realm. That being said, though, so my full-time job that I have now, which is Monday through Friday, is a startup, and it is an online dance education company. So It's called CLI Studios, and we basically work with, all those choreographers from So You Think You Can Dance and Dancing with the Stars and like those sorts of people, and we film content with them, and it's this whole online platform.
Huh.
And one of the nice things about working at a startup is that you kind of like get to do a little bit of everything. So I do customer service. I've done some product development. One of the projects I've been working on for the past year and a half has been creating a curriculum that can go along with our videos that K through 12 schools can use. So they're linked to the fine art standards and all that good stuff. So
You're speaking my language.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
I do a lot. Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that's really exciting. I'm sure it feels a little bit different to have taken the chance, rolled the dice, gone out there and done some work that I've heard exists. I've never actually seen a startup. I've met these like workspaces and these work areas where there are no desks and we have ping pong and things. But that's my limited understanding of what it's really like. What is a startup really like? Like, am I close? Are you? Who?
It is.
Wait,
it's sort of.
Who started the startup? You, or you work at a place other people started up? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are 20 of us on the team. It's still, it's been around for about 5 years. So it's still fairly new. It really didn't take off. I shouldn't say that, but it's really started to build momentum in the past 2 years. And one of the great things is that it's all online. So during the pandemic, I've still been able to work. It's been, which has been amazing.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it's not like if you've watched The Social Network where they have all the cool ping pong stuff.
Right.
It's not necessarily that. It's, you are within a limited budget, but we have things like kombucha on tap and cold brew on tap, stuff like that, like fun little things like that. And, but it's, one of the kind of fun things about it is that we're all around the same age. The age range is between 23 and 40. And so, we're all, fairly young and lots of new ideas. The CEO that started it, he was a dancer, and he was really good friends with Teddy Forens, who was on So You Think You Can Dance, and he's a pretty big name in the commercial dance industry. And so they started it together, and it just started with the two of them taking their camera and filming in a studio and then creating this platform, and it just kind of grew from there. So
wow, that's amazing. That's the way of the last few years, and for sure, maybe before, but definitely it's growing and growing and growing. So thank you so much for that amazing narrative of what I don't know that everybody, you might not have guessed you would go all these paths when you were, a sophomore or a junior in high school. So if you're a sophomore or a junior in high school and you're hearing these paths, just please know, they're not all just going to fall into place, but they're all also not all gone. They're not even really there yet. You'll find them when you're out there, and they'll be emerging for you at different moments in your life, and one thing might lead to another. You may take a chance and a risk and really feel rewarded for such a thing. So hope that's a fantastic way to show other people, I dare say, a hope for what they might go out and accomplish. But let's end on that then. What would you tell some of the young people who are listening that might, give them hope? I have to use it at least once. Come on.
Yeah. I would say, if you really want to do something, then you should try as best you can to do it. And if you're in a situation where maybe you're not doing exactly what you want to do, create it then, take the initiative. Even if you go to your boss and you give them an idea, maybe you're doing dance, and I could have gone to my boss and been like, I want to use my dance degree. And he could have been like, cool, you can help with cheerleading or something. And that might have been all it was, but you're putting yourself out there, you're putting that energy out into the world, and that's all you can do. Just keep going, and don't settle if you don't want to.
Fantastic. We'll end it there on wonderful advice from Hope Pinner. Again, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. I'm Chris Odom. We're signing out. Thanks again, Hope. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you, Mr. Odom, and thank you to all the other instructors today. They all will be back next Friday with our next episode of Real World Learning. KCPS Homeroom will be back on Monday at 8 a.m. right here on 38th The Spot with class for our pre-K and kindergarten students. Thank you all for joining us this week. Have a great day, and remember, continue learning throughout the day.
I chose manual because it's challenging and fun, and it can help me with college.
I chose manual because I wanted to get a jump start in my career with culinary arts.
I chose manual to acquire skills I'd use in real life.
I chose manual because I want to be an ER doctor, and being an EMT is my first step.
Kickstart your future today at Manual Career and Technical Center. Manual is open for all 11th and 12th grade students in both Kansas and Missouri. Learn more today at enrollkc.org/manual or call 816-418-5200.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists, and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
Hello, we're happy to have you visit Carver. We are a dual language school where our students become truly bilingual and biliterate.
Welcome to Carver Dual Language.
Hola, bienvenido al primer grado en Carver. Welcome to first grade in Carver. In kindergarten and first grade, all students learn to read and write in Spanish.
Welcome to 4th grade at Carver. In 4th grade, our students have the opportunity to join our robotics team. Our students work together on a community project and learn to code a robot's movements.
By 6th grade, Carver students are truly bilingual and biliterate. Students can fluently speak, read, and write in both Spanish and English. Carver students move on to much success in middle school, high school, and beyond.
We celebrate Hispanic heritage throughout the year at Carver Dual Language. Each year, students develop a plan to make goods to develop and to sell at our mercado. This is our annual fall market that classes have booths that students come together and sell their items that they've created. Staff, community members, family, parents, grandparents, all can come together, buy the goods, and celebrate Hispanic heritage together.
In Carver, we have an involved PTA where parents and families can be part of our school community.
Thank you for joining us on this tour. If you would like to schedule a personal tour or learn more about our school, please call 816-418-4925.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists, and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
I am Lincoln Middle.
At Lincoln Middle School, students discover their talents and passions, where teachers plant the seeds of lifelong learning.
I am Lincoln Middle.
Where excellence is nurtured. Students develop the skills to be successful in school, career, and beyond.
Je suis Lincoln Middle.
Lincoln Middle is the public school where your child will thrive and grow. Open a world of possibilities. Apply today. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Lincoln Middle.